Hold up your swan if you're really proud of it. Oh, very good, very good. Keep your hands up if you created your swan just from the written text with no images and not copying from your next door neighbour.
I tried, but I was tired.
Did anybody manage to create something wonderful just by looking at the written text? Just
Written text, no, I cheating.
So a lot of you either had the picture or you cheated or you copied from your friend. This guy's on this table over here didn't have any colour pictures and they didn't have any help at all. So whatever they achieved is fantastic because they had the work. So that's just a little bit of a game to kind of help us think about what we're talking about when we're thinking about learning. Some tasks, and it's kind of obvious, but some tasks are very difficult to do if you only have written instructions, yeah? I mean, it's virtually impossible. Sometimes when we have a little bit more room, I give another group a video instruction where they just watch the video and they have it all done in about 2 minutes. And the rest of the room is like, still stage one. Yeah. The point. Okay, so we can think about how we learn to do something. Many years ago, when I was younger and fitter than now, I used to do a lot of cycling, and I trained to do time trialling. And how did I learn to do this? Well, you can watch experts performing. I listen to experts talking about how they train and develop their training. And also read books, so you can read about approaches and different approaches to coaching. And you can also obviously write and reflect. So whenever I tried a different training technique or what have you, I would measure performance and reflect on what I'd learned. But actually, at some point, you do actually have to get on the bike and ride it, which is kind of where it all kind of goes wrong. So we can learn in lots of different ways, and I think, but in order to learn and develop as in something new, we have to bring together all of those different types of learning. We can't just say, well, I'm only a visual learner, and therefore, I want all of my information visually, and I can't operate in any other way. We, of course, all have preferences. We have preferences for different styles of learning, but most effective learners can adopt the most appropriate way of learning for the task involved. Okay, so in terms of when we're supporting our students and thinking about their different learning styles, we shouldn't be too quick just to say, okay, well, we'll just accommodate all the different learning styles. To make them effective learners long term, they need to be able to adopt lots of different strategies. So just really to conclude this part, learning styles, when they kind of really became kind of discredited in terms of matching your teaching style to learning styles, which was the approach that was trying to be taken. So just a few quotes here about what different people have said about learning styles. So styles do not describe what people are like, they describe what they do when they're trying to learn a specific task. So if it's a very visual task, you should be able to adopt a visual approach to learning. And it can be any pattern we see in a person's way of accomplishing a particular task. So it's something that you adopt for the task in hand rather than a persona. And that styles are not fixed. So I think these are the most important things. Effective learners adopt appropriate style for the task, and effective teachers support the development of a range of learning styles. So it's important not that you adopt teaching styles to mimic your student's learning style, but that you encourage, you use a range of teaching styles to make your students adopt and develop a range of learning styles. So it's kind of upping and kind of expanding it rather than going to the lowest common denominator. What I found a lot more kind of intuitive in thinking about learning styles is students' approaches to learning. Many students take what we describe as a surface approach to learning. Is that a phrase that's common for you?
Yes.
Yes. So you just, what do I need to know to get through the exam? What do I need to know to get through the assessment task? And it's this idea of intention to reproduce. If I say something, you can go out of the room and repeat it, and that's fine. And it's kind of this idea of learning, and they're kind of cramming for the first test and what have you. Kind of the goal of higher education is to promote deep learning, in which there is this intention to understand. The students have an underpinning desire to understand the subject material. This one, I think, is the most commonly seen, certainly across the HE sector in the UK, is where students take a very strategic approach to learning. They want to do well, they want to get good grades, so it's not that they just kind of take a surface approach to get through. They want to excel, but they are very strategic in their time management in terms of what they do, so they only do the task, and they'll identify the tasks they need to do to give them the maximum rewards in terms of, not necessarily in terms of their own learning gains, but in terms of perhaps the grades that they're getting. Okay? So the strategic approach, I think, can take different guises depending on what the student's overall goal is. So some students might recognise that they need a broader base of skills in terms to be an employable graduate, and so therefore they might engage in a lot of perhaps extracurricular activities or what have you. But other students might think, well, all I need to do is get a first class honours, and that's going to get me onto a PhD track or a master's programme or the next thing that I want to do, and so therefore they will just take the subjects that give them the good grades and work very hard at that. And then we have the apathetic student who is completely undirected and not interested in the subject. Does anybody want to comment on those? Is that the types of learning or approaches to study? Do you recognise those from your own students? Which one is prevalent, or anybody want to comment on that?
Well, the majority, in my experience, is in this diagonal. They're either surface or strategic.
Yeah.
So the other two are more rare.
Yes.
So the most common being the surface, but the second one comes from the strategic.
Yeah. So is that common? Is that the general thing? I think that's what we see. Every institution I go to, whatever country, that's what we see in our students. They're either surface learners or they're strategic learners. Okay. Occasionally you get the wonderful, deep, really engaged student learner, who suddenly clicks with the subject. They want to go on and take that forward, perhaps do a PhD or research or what have you. The apathetic ones, we tend to lose them along the way. Okay, can you just think to yourselves for a moment about when you personally have taken a strategic approach to learning? When have you needed to learn something and you've taken a very strategic approach? And don't say the PCAP program, because I'll throw you all out. Anybody think about when they've taken a strategic approach to learning something? Perhaps you have to learn a language to go on holiday, or learn to cook to impress a new partner. Anybody want to give an example of when they're taking a strategic approach to learning?
Well, learning Spanish before going to Spain for a holiday.
Yeah, yes. And can you still speak Spanish now?
Very little, because I learned through Duolingo.
Oh, okay, right, okay. So you wanted to have enough language to get by, to be able to be civilised and sociable, and so you took a very strategic approach.
And you get more sympathy if you
try.
Yes.
Yes. So you had a goal to have a more sociable holiday, and so therefore you worked out what you need to learn, probably time limited in terms of how much time you can invest in it. That's great. Anybody else think of an example when they took a strategic approach to learning something? Yep.
Similarly, once upon a time, I tried to learn Ottoman language, Ottoman alphabet.
Okay.
I say, because it's an alphabet and not a language. But why? Because I was studying in the architectural archives in Paris once upon a time, and in that archive, what I saw, it was all of the facts dating back to 200 years ago, 100 years ago. They were French, and I was able to read them with today's French. And when I came back to Istanbul, to Turkey, I was quite disappointed and I felt quite sad because I couldn't read the documents in the archive. I couldn't read the inscriptions on the facade of the buildings and whatnot. So that was so disappointing, and so I can't find connections with my past.
Yes.
So that moment I have decided to learn Ottoman alphabet so that I can read the documents and
Yeah,
things
and
like that.
I think that's a really lovely example because it's still quite an academic example, but
Yes.
there's this kind of threshold that you have to cross before
Yeah.
you can get that deeper understanding. And so you've taken that very strategic approach, right? If I get this threshold concept, you don't have to have, be fully fluent, but you need to have enough of it to be able to get you through that gateway to the next experience. That's lovely, thank you. Anybody else got any approaches? Yeah.
It's similar with Professor. It was such kind of language learning type, but it was a computational language that I had to learn due to my analysis on my PhD. I had hundreds of thousands of data that I had to summarize, and when I asked my advisor, she told that you have to do that manually by raising all zeros by your hand, and I thought that it's nonsense. It's a computer, and you should do it faster and accurate than my eye and my hands.
Yes.
Then I start to check forums, read lots of things. I write down my problem and have some advice from the computational part and learn the language that I need.
Yes.
And
So you learn a little bit of programming language just to do the task.
for the task.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, and I think probably most of us that have done PhDs and research have probably learned different statistical techniques that you've maybe never used again since you've analysed particular data sets. So we can be quite dismissive of our students taking these strategic approaches to learning, but actually in our professional life, and if I give you more time to think about it, you can probably think of many more examples of where you've taken strategic approaches to learning things. And so I don't think it's an area to be dismissed in this diagram because it's important that you can take a strategic approach. As we kind of spoke about earlier, our professional lives are changing very rapidly, and you'll probably need to get up to speed with a different area, slightly different area of practice, slightly different area of expertise, perhaps very quickly. So you might need to be able to you would have to take a strategic approach in order to get to a level of understanding of something in order to do another task or another role within your institution, or if you go outside of the academy. So I think being able to take a strategic approach to learning is, if you can do it well, is a very, very important skill. And I don't think, I'm not saying we should encourage our students to do it, but I think we should respect and understand that it's a necessary skill if they're going to be lifelong learners. They're not going to have a deep knowledge of everything that they learn between now and when they stop working. So that strategic approach is important. Okay, more theoretical work. First bit of theoretical work. I'm going to give you some different learning theories. I'm going to give you 4 per group. If you can read them in twos or ones and twos, and then start off by reading it on your own, and then share in your group what you understand the theory to be. And what I want you to do is kind of create a timeline of pedagogic thinking. So when you look through them, then there should be a fairly clear idea of which of these theories came first, and when they were superseded, or paradigms really than theories. So have a think about them. Think about what order you think they appeared in terms of kind of usage. And then once you've got a timeline going through the middle, I'm going to give you some flip chart paper to put that on if I can find some clean paper. Just extend that diagram to think about what the relevance is still has to your own practice, if any, okay?